I thought I would do something different today and do a video on the lowest priced house on the island. As many of us are used to seeing all the glamorous high-end homes that are for sale, I figured I'd show you the lowest priced one on the island here on Fort Myers Beach. I'm starting off here. I'm going down Buccaneer Drive, and I'm going to be pulling up to the house that is on Buccaneer Drive, and it's in Laguna Shores. It's on the south end of the island. It's a great location. It's a great neighborhood. It's an ideal location on the island if you're not wanting to sit through the traffic of the north end. This is away from that. And as we pull up here, you'll see that the yard is currently being worked on. That mound of dirt is actually now removed after I did this video. Hello, I'm David Piper. I'm with beachesrealestategroup.com. I'm a realtor on the Fort Myers Beach. And I wanted to share with you the lowest price home on Fort Myers Beach currently. It's this one here. It's located at 7951 Buccaneer Drive. And it's down at the south end, located in Laguna Shores neighborhood. It's a very nice neighborhood. And it's on the quiet south end of the island. So it'd be easy access to go in through Bonita and up. So I wanted to share with you this house. So this has obviously been flooded and would need some work, hence the lowest price home on the island. Now this one is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 947 square feet, and it was built in 1972, and it's a concrete block house. So obviously the walls were nice and sturdy from the hurricanes and withstood the storm surges, but it would have to be redone inside. And that gets into the question on if it can actually be done. We're dealing with the FEMA 50% rule. If you're not already familiar with it, that is where you're limited on how much you can invest into a structure without having to bring the whole structure up to code. And that latest code would be up to the latest flood height of a code. So in other words, this house would have to be either raised off the foundation and raised up the 12 to 13 feet, whatever it actually is in this particular part of the island, but it's right around that height, and then everything else would have to be brought up to code as well. So you have to determine what Lee County has as the structure's value and what it was currently valued at before Hurricane Ian that hit almost 2.5 years ago. It had to be 50% of that value. So the value of the structure on the land is separate from the land value. So it would be what Lee County has as what the value was basically before Ian, and you work off those numbers. Otherwise, you could have an independent appraisal done that would determine what the value of the structure itself was. Then you basically work 50% off of that. And based on that is what you're able to invest into the home as far as meeting that 50% requirement that's set by FEMA. All right, let's see if we can take a look inside here. Obviously, it's all boarded up, so it's going to be difficult to see anything. The current owner did have it replumbed before with the PEX pipe. Obviously, you can see it was gutted. It's just down to the 2x4 studs. And obviously the cinder block wall that has the furring strips on the block. That'd be set up to accept the drywall. So basically, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath layout. Everything would have to be done here. Now the question is if it can actually meet that 50% rule. which I'm going to say it's going to be very tough because they're going to go based on the work that was already done here. And they did have electrical done. You see this new wiring. So they did put some money into it, like they're going to rehab it. So it makes it difficult to put this kind of money into a structure here that's on the ground floor and obviously risk it flooding again. And many people are faced with that decision on if they're going to do that or not, and if it's worth it. Now, with that said, basically it's going to take a cash buyer for this property to be able to purchase it. And basically at this point, we'd have to self-insure as far as the flood insurance would go. It would be a huge price tag to be able to have a flood policy on here when there's not one currently on here. Therefore, would not be a grandfathered in policy that could be transferred to the new owner. So anytime that happens when there's no flood policy on it, then basically you have to start with a new policy, and that new policy is going to be very expensive. At any time on these flood policies, they are going to be capped out at $250,000 as far as covered damages that will be covered from a flood. So this gives you a sense of what it's like inside. It has been all gutted. It would be ready for renovation if you can be under that 50% rule. Now with the numbers the way they are, that's going to be very tough with that valuation currently. The listing agent mentioned that the value was at $100,000. So that means you only put 50 into it. Well, the owner did, like I mentioned, they did electrical, so that costs money. They also put other money into it. Let's see, they put $15,000 of electrical into it, a $6,500 AC, and then they did pull a permit for windows and doors. That was going to be $15,000, but obviously they didn't put those in yet, so that should not be able to be taken off of that $50,000 max. But it appears that it has good bones, obviously being concrete block. And like I mentioned, this is in the south end Laguna Shores neighborhood on Buccaneer Road. And basically it's the very, very south end of the island. And it is more of a quiet part of the island. This is a monthly short-term rental restriction zone. So they are not allowed to do weeklies here. So any people that do rent here would be either by the month during season or perhaps annual renters, but definitely not the weekly short-term vacation rentals that would be like the spring breakers type crowd. But something like this would make a good rental for like the snowbirds. 2-bedroom, 2-bath layout. That's a pretty good, it's a decent size for the couple to stay for 3 months out of the year for the winter months during season, and then perhaps have some guests over from time to time during their stay. All right, so I wanted to share with you, this is the lowest price house on the island. And if you're possibly interested in this or something else that might be of better interest, better fit, please give me a call or a text and let's get the process started in your search. I look forward to helping you in your real estate needs here on Fort Myers Beach in the Southwest Florida. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a great day.